Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. Ahead of our huge clash against Tottenham Hotspur on Monday night, I'm joined by Spurred On's very own Barnaby Slater. Barnaby, thank you so much for joining us.
It's very good to be here. I think any other season I probably wouldn't have agreed, but I'm happy to be here for this.
Guys, make sure that you check out Spurred On. The link is in the description. It's a really, really good channel. Make sure that you go and subscribe.
It's very kind of you.
Barnaby, let's just have a brief chat. This is going to be so deflating for me and for our viewers, but you've been magnificent this season, haven't you?
It's certainly been the greatest season for me as a Spurs fan. I've supported Spurs since 1986, I think. Obviously, we won the Cup in 91, but that was young, me being a young person thinking this is how it will always be, and then you realise that's not what it's like. To sum it up relatively quickly, I would say this is now like a new Spurs, and they're not like any other Spurs that I've watched, really, where we have steel, desire, a great defence, and still some players like we've always had, the kind of flair players who can turn a game, as well as a fantastic number 9 as well. So yeah, it's been an amazing season. I know it looks like we're not going to win the league, unfortunately, but to have taken it that close, a lot of Spurs fans and other fans say, oh, it must be bad that you've lost it to Leicester. But to me, it's like, I would rather it be Leicester, to be honest. No offence to you personally, but then Chelsea or City or Arsenal especially. Yeah. No. So amazing season and thoroughly enjoying it despite West Brom last week.
Yes, right. That was uplifting, wasn't it? What we're going to try and do, in the spirit of being uplifting, is a combined 11. I really enjoyed doing these, but of late I've been being battered. I have a bad feeling about this one, but I'm going to really fight our corner.
So it's on form, isn't it? It's not based on the fact that...
No, it's who you would pick in a combined 11 going into this fixture.
Yeah.
So the obvious place to start is a goalkeeper, and I think that Thibaut Courtois is a magnificent goalkeeper. I think that he has bags of potential and will only get better. How do you feel about Lloris? Club captain, isn't he?
He's our club captain. He's the captain of France. He's still relatively young for a goalkeeper as well, 29. He's our oldest player. I like Courtois. I've actually played in goal in my time, so I know a bit about this. I like Courtois a lot. I do think he is a great goalkeeper. But what I would say is I don't think he's had the best season. I think he was certainly a lot stronger last season. Lloris has had a great season. The thing is about Hugo is he is a great shot stopper, which I think is basically bare minimum for a top-level keeper. You've got to be a fantastic shot stopper. But his communication, I would think, is slightly better than Thibaut Courtois'. And certainly his ability to sweep off the line and help his back four is something that only, in my opinion, Manuel Neuer in the world is better than him at. So I would fight for Lloris having had a better season than Courtois and for maybe him to go in our combined 11, but I'm willing to listen to your negotiations.
Do you know what? I always try and do this as fairly as possible. I think that has to be, we always have to do that. And I think that most people who comment kind of get that. I think that the case that you just put forward there for Lloris has actually won. The fact that he's captain, the fact that he plays, he's the French captain.
Best defence in the league.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? You can't argue with the facts.
So never before has that happened in Spurs' time, by the way. Best defence in the league and scored the most goals in the league.
Right. Hugo Lloris is in. Okay, I've got a very good. This is where I go in hard. Okay. I'm going in with a trump card. Yeah. And I'm going in with Cesar Azpilicueta at right back.
Right back. Okay. In the spirit of honesty, I like Azpilicueta a lot. He kind of came a few seasons ago. This is how I saw it anyway. Kind of came from nowhere. Didn't know much about him, and suddenly he's played a lot at left back, hasn't he?
Well, he kept Ashley Cole out of the team.
Kept Ashley Cole out of the team. So it just shows his versatility is excellent. We've got Kyle Walker at right back. What I would say, Kyle Walker, not the most gifted defender of all time, but has improved his defending immeasurably this season. He's always been very good getting up and down, which you have to as a modern fullback. But could I say, it's hard for me to feel like I'm fighting him against Azpilicueta, because I think Azpilicueta, one thing that I think would make it count with him is his experience. He's been there and done it. He's won the title before. Yeah. And to be honest, would I back him against, say, a Messi or Ronaldo one-on-one more than Walker? Probably would defensively. So on that level, I can see why potentially he could get the nod. But I'm not by any means going to slag off Kyle Walker. I think he's had a great season.
Right. Again, a very good pitch. I think that this one has to go to Azpilicueta purely on the back of a lot of the plaudits that you were giving to Walker seem to be plaudits that happen in the opposition half. And whereas Azpilicueta, not many happen in the opposition half. Yeah. But he is impenetrable.
If it's for out-and-out defending, I think he has to go in ahead of Walker, definitely.
Right, Azpilicueta's in.
You got a name in. Well done.
Great news. Okay, let's move across the back four. Right, I'm going to go in hard again. I'm going to go in on the left side of the centre halves. I'm I'm going in with the obvious John Terry.
John Terry, okay. Just need to check, does the amount you get injured matter when it comes to this?
John Terry, I'm praying is going to be available for this fixture.
Right.
So I'm putting him in because I think that this is we're going to try and do one that is based on who could play on Monday.
Okay.
And I'm really optimistic that Terry will play and score.
Okay, well, for Spurs, I'll pitch for Jan Vertonghen. He is also versatile. He plays left back for the Belgian national team, currently, I believe, ranked number 1 or 2 in the world. He has been injured a bit before the last 3 games. He was out for, I think, 10 weeks because of an elbow from Connor Wickham against Crystal Palace, which was nasty. Went down, got elbowed in the face, and because he was basically knocked out, twisted his knee out, which was bad. Jan Vertonghen, I would say, one of the most gifted centre-backs we've ever had on the ball.
Really?
Fantastic player on the football. The reason why he's got back in the team at Spurs, even though Kevin Wimmer came in and did well, is only because he's better on the ball. Wimmer and him are pretty equal in terms of defending. He's good in the air. He's a good reader of the game. And certainly whilst he's playing alongside Alderweireld, he's back to his best, absolutely. But he's also just a fantastic player on the ball. What I would say, though, because you're going John Terry, I would say he doesn't score as many goals as John Terry, certainly as a centre-back. But that's who I'm pitching for.
Okay. Again, I'm going to be completely impartial here, but I couldn't be the man I want to be where I would allow John Terry not to be in any sort of combined 11. I think he's one of the best players to have ever played the game. Yeah. His goal-scoring record, as you mentioned, is... well, it's untouchable.
Is he still as good? This isn't me pitching, I agree. I'm happy for you to have him in the team. Is he as good as he ever was?
I think it's the thing that's important to remember is less than 12 months ago, he played in every minute of every match of the team that won the league. Yeah. And the cup, the League Cup. I'm sure you remember it well. And I was always planning on getting that one.
I remember us getting absolutely Mourinho'd, him putting Kurt Zuma on Christian Eriksen, and it just being like the Mourinho day that he has.
And Terry scored that day, of course.
He always scores against us, John Terry. Always.
Well, for that reason alone. He
definitely scores more goals. He does. I have to say as well. He's an old-fashioned leader, John Terry. There aren't enough of those still in the league. And although obviously opposition fans have their views of John Terry, I think the realistic thing is with John Terry, everyone's like, oh, he's a expletive, but we wish he was out. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone knows that you'd like one of those in your team.
He's a wonderful man and talent. This is where I feel that I could be about to fight a losing battle. Partnering John Terry, the name I've got going to put forward is Gary Cahill.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
You're going to put forward Toby Alderweireld.
I'm going Toby Alderweireld,
who we nearly signed and didn't, and it's really, really hampered us.
Does it annoy you that you could have got him for £12 million?
Hugely. I think, I perhaps didn't know he was as good as he has been proven now. Yeah. But there's no surprise that he's this good. Like, there's no surprise that he's a very good player.
There are a few things that amaze me, and stop me if I go on, but you look at Man City and they bought Mangala and Otamendi, I think for a combined total of over 50 million, 55 million pounds. Toby Alderweireld, who was at Southampton last year on loan, and Southampton had an unbelievable season. He's not there this season, and they've not been as good. It's simple as that. We got him for £12 million. One of the greatest signings Spurs have ever made in my lifetime, without a doubt. I'm going to pitch it so easily to you. Every defender that he plays with is a better player because he's there. Yeah. He's a leader. I've never seen someone read the game so well. Now, look, I've watched... Maybe that's an exaggeration. I watched England when Rio Ferdinand was playing, and he was a fantastic reader of the game.
But in a Tottenham shirt.
But in a Tottenham shirt, the things he does to cover Vertonghen behind him, or cover Kyle Walker and Danny Rose when they're up the pitch, because we play such advanced fullbacks, unbelievable. And the key thing to me, the number one thing, in this modern day, it's very rare you have a centre-back who knows when to hit it into Rosed and knows when to pass it out, but he gets it right every time. John Terry's good at that as well. John Terry can pass and knows when to put it out, but Alderweireld, the best in the league this season, as a centre-back without a doubt. So it's hard for me to see your fight for this.
No, there is no fight. In fact, I fall on my sword. There was no doubt. I think that Alderweireld has been fantastic. I think that it's going to go in a similar vein here. In fact, left back's going to be Danny Rose, isn't it? Left back is Danny Rose.
Well, Danny Rose just got in the PFA Team of the Year. He's had a fantastic season. He has added to his game defensively as well, like Kyle Walker, but also he's, in the last 3 months even, added the ability to pick out a man from a cross. He's always been a big, burly guy who's like getting in a bit of a scrap, beats people in shoulder challenges and stuff, good in the air for his height, but he would get to the byline or he'd get into the position to put a cross in and he'd shank it out.
Right.
He's really learnt to now, what he does a lot is he cuts it back for players coming on, for the midfielders coming on, instead of trying to pick out the Beckham.
It's a great move, that. It's like Damien Duff used to do that constantly. He used to get to the byline and it takes a very, very particular player who can kind of whip it, with bend and somebody coming in.
And keep it away from the keeper and keep it out of the crowd.
It's very difficult. Yeah. But what Damien Duff used to do when in doubt would be just drill it low and hard across. And 9 times out of 10, Frank Lampard would be coming in and knocking it in.
Because the centre-backs are naturally running towards the goal. Yeah. And so if you cut it back behind them, there's nothing they can do about that.
It's a really good move.
Rose has really learned that. I don't know if that's a Pochettino thing or a coaching staff thing, but it's improved him so much. And best left back in the league. So tough to call.
No debate. Okay, right. I've got one here. Moving slightly further forward. In the pivot, I'm going to put Cesc Fabregas. Since the turn of the year, he has been masterful. He's pulled the strings when it's mattered most. We went away to Arsenal at the beginning of this year, and the chips really were down for us. They were on the ascendancy, and I would go so far as saying, in fact, you can thank us for this, I would go so far as saying that we put the brakes on. We started the tumble. Yeah. It was around that period. They went away to Liverpool. They got a draw, which they were a bit disappointed with. We then kicked them while they were down. And although Diego Costa got a lot of the plaudits that day, I think that Cesc Fabregas was the real man of the match.
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that. What I would say is about Fabregas, I agree, yeah, he's certainly improved a lot. I do think his form in the first half of the season or first quarter of the season, because last season he started with like 100 assists in the first 5 games. So almost when that wasn't happening, the team had to suddenly find a different way of playing. I would fight for me, Eric Dyer this season got moved into that central midfield role in front of the back four. He's a totally different player. He's more of an enforcer. He comes into the centre-back role when the full-backs have gone on, and that's why we've got such a good defence. But what I can certainly say is it was an absolute delight for me when Cesc Fabregas joined Chelsea, because that was finally the moment where Arsenal understood, not even to the same degree, but understood a bit what it was like when Sol Campbell left us to go to them. Do you see what I mean?
Was that the moment for you? Like, explain that one too, because I'm not sure that a lot of our viewers would be aware of that. That really was a dagger to the heart for you, wasn't it?
So it was early 2000s, and Sol Campbell, he was that era's equivalent of Harry Kane. Yeah. So he had come up through our academy. He was our captain. He was pretty much the only, I'm happy to say this, the only top quality world-class player we had at that point. And he said, it wasn't even as simple as he moved to Arsenal. It was his contract was running out. We knew about that for 2 years. He said, A, I will never join Arsenal. B, I would never stitch you up and go on a Bosman. I would sign a new contract or, make sure you get a transfer fee. And over and above that, he was getting offered hundreds of thousands of pounds to go abroad. He could have gone to Inter Milan. There were some Spanish clubs who were interested. This was when Italy as well, the Italian League Serie A was bigger and better, And he went against all of that and signed for Arsenal on a Bosman. And to explain it from my point of view, before that, I would support all English clubs in Europe, including Arsenal. My stepdad always said, support the English clubs in Europe, support your country. After that, it was gone. Really? Arsenal was gone. That's just a personal thing. I know a lot of Spurs fans hated Arsenal because of 1900 when they moved from Woolwich to North London. But that was it. And then when Fabregas joined Chelsea, Arsenal fans just went mad. Yeah. And what would have been better is if he'd gone straight from them. But but it was good. So I like Fabregas. So I'm kind of willing on that basis almost, as well as the fact that I think he can unlock the door a bit better than Dyer can. Yes. I'm willing to maybe let you make a decision on that.
Fabregas is. I think that's right. Yeah, I think it's important as well that I just acknowledge quite how brilliant I think Eric Dyer is. Oh, yeah. Like I say, we were in Germany together for the England game, and I think if England are to have any hope going into this championship, Eric Dyer is a real reason why.
Yeah, because you need someone who's going to let the creative players play.
Absolutely, but the creative players are so important, and Cesc Fabregas has the ability to play a pass that other players can't even see.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
So Fabregas is in. Alongside him is a slightly more tricky issue for us. Nemanja Matic is a candidate. The one I'm going to put forward, though, is John Obi Mikel. Okay. Mikel is a great player in a very specific match. I would say away in Europe. He's a very good player. His ball retention is excellent. He does a lot of donkey work. but he's a limited player. I love him.
Yeah.
I get a lot of grief for saying I love him.
He strikes me as a player who probably gets told what to do by the manager and then just does it.
Yes.
Like, no ego really, that
Yeah.
I can tell, not on the pitch anyway.
Yeah.
No ego, gets his instructions, does it, walks off the pitch, 7 out of 10 probably most
every game.
games.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand that, but for me, I'd have to go with Moussa Dembele, who is suddenly, this season, has become almost as important name on the team sheet as Alderweireld, as Kane, as Lloris, because not just because of what he can do, which is, I think, unlike anyone in the Premier League at the moment, you just don't get the ball off him, you bounce off him, he will pivot around you and twist around you. And he's not someone who's going to get loads of assists and play slide rule balls, really, and he's not going to score you 10 goals a season. But as well as the stuff that he does for Spurs, I think opposition are scared of him.
Yeah.
I do, and I think they look at him, they know, well, I know I'm not going to get the ball off him, so I'm not even going near him, which gives him more time to open up the game for other people. And he's been phenomenal this season, unbelievable. What he's stopped doing, which he used to do before, he would get a little knock and he'd go down, he'd go off.
Right.
And suddenly, I don't know whether it's
He's got a bit more fight to him.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's because Pochettino does these double training sessions every day, he's become stronger or whatever, but he does that. You still see him a little bit, but then he carries on, he forgets about it. That's big difference.
How important has he been to your success this season?
Pivotal, absolutely pivotal.
Well, on that basis
for those
alone,
reasons alone. And also, another one in the Belgian national team.
Yes.
On paper, Belgium should be winning the Euros, I think, or close there or thereabouts. They've got an unbelievable
They've got a very,
team.
very good team, haven't they? In fact, those two, it's a very good balance, isn't it? It's yin and yang. If you have Fabregas and Dembele, if they were to play together, that's a very nice team we've got.
Yeah, I think Dembele has certainly learned a discipline, so he knows when to drop in as well if necessary. So they would be a pretty good centre midfield partnership.
Very nice. Okay, so we're going to move slightly further forward up the pitch again, and this is where games
we're
are
playing
generally
like a 4-2-3-1, are we?
Yes, and this is where games are generally won and lost. I've got a bad feeling about this because you've been so lethal going forward. So I'm going to start with my trump card. I'm going to start with the right wing, and I'm going to put our Player of the Year down. I think he's had it sewn up since about September.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put Willian on the table. Any
Well, I
challenge?
have an immediate problem with Willian in that I think we paid for his medical.
You did. You paid for his flight over and his medical and his hotel bill.
Knowing Daniel Levy, had him on an EasyJet flight, didn't even give him
Staying at the
priority
Travelodge.
boarding. And he came down, had his medical, and then he's like, oh, yeah, Chelsea? Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll go. But on the pitch, fantastic player. How many free kicks has he scored? He was the only player playing well whilst you guys were having your difficult first half of the season, let's put it like that. And fantastic player. It really interests me actually, Willian, because look at him and I think about him a lot. How would he have done as a Spurs player? And it didn't happen straight away for him at Chelsea, really, did it? It's taken till this season, really. Yeah. So I wonder if Spurs fans, if he had joined Spurs, would have been like, oh, just another one of those 8 signings we made with the Bale money.
Yeah.
But I will go. I think this will be difficult for me, but Eric Lamela so we're looking at the right-hand side of the three. He's definitely had his best season for us. He is still improving, still young. Less of a haircut player now than he was. His work rate is undeniable.
Loved a Rabona.
Loved that Rabona goal was fantastic. He tried to score another one this season. He's got all the technical ability in the world. With him, what I would say, and being totally impartial, his decision making, although it's improving, I'd say he's still only up to about 60% making the right decision.
Right.
I might
Not
say
good enough.
Not good enough at the top level,
Yeah,
but I think he's young, he's improving, and that price tag did weigh heavily. But I'd say I bring this back to like 1990 when Paul Gascoigne started playing for England before the Italian World Cup, the World Cup in Italy. Bobby Robson, the manager, said about him, he passes when he should dribble and he dribbles when he should pass. And Gaza got that into him very quickly after that. Lamela still does a bit of that.
Okay.
And I think that will improve. He's 23 only, I think, so it will improve.
Plenty of time, yeah.
But at this moment, I would go for Willian probably over Lamela.
Great. Okay.
The other two you might struggle with.
Now this is where it gets tricky.
The other three you might struggle with.
Okay, let's go for the man behind the front man.
Yeah, Dele Alli.
I have nothing but good things to say about Dele Alli. I have nothing to challenge you here. Oscar.
Do you like the fact that he punched someone in the stomach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hugely. I'm not being sarcastic there.
No,
massively.
It really reminds me of how many times did Steven Gerrard stamp on someone?
Yeah.
How many times did it mean so much to him that he'd lose his cool?
I've got no issue with players boiling over. Yeah, I've got absolutely no issue with players boiling over. Of course, it's a shame. It could have a detrimental effect to your challenge, but he's so young. He'll learn to control it.
Yeah.
I think he's a remarkable player, Dele Alli. I'm not even. This is the biggest tribute to him I can pay. I'm not even going to challenge you.
Who would be the closest? Chelsea? Who plays in that role?
It would
Hazard usually. Was
Oscar.
It? Oh,
Oscar is who I would.
I like Oscar as a player. There's a little bit of.
Do you want him?
Well, he is the kind of player. I don't think we could afford his wages. He's probably on 150 grand. But yeah, your response there makes me think that Chelsea fans are a bit.
I championed Oscar to my detriment on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I championed him. I really did. I thought that on his day, Barnaby, he's brilliant. On his day.
So is he a match of the day player? So someone like me only really sees him when he's on match of the day, and you think, God, what
exactly
a genius.
that. He has it in him to score one of the best goals you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But doesn't. And never really does. Is
he a worker?
He's a sulker. No. Look, I'm not too big for anything, but I'm certainly not too big to admit that I got it wrong, especially this year.
He'll definitely put one in the top corner against us on Monday now.
In which case, all will be forgiven. But no, if you were to compare him, which we are obviously, Dele Alli to Oscar, there is no comparison. Okay. Dele Alli wins on every single level, including the technical ability, the goals, and the fight, which is so important.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I really do like
Happy with that.
And so let's move over to the left wing. I think this is all going to go in a similar vein.
Who's yours?
It's going to be Eden Hazard, who, of course, is one of the most mercurial talents I've ever seen play the game. Yeah. Sometimes.
He actually played
lately.
in the 0-0 at the Lane early in the season. Every time he got the ball, it felt dangerous though. Yeah. It felt dangerous every time he got the ball. But then he's hardly played well.
Yeah, he's hardly played. Played against Bournemouth. He came in. He scored his first goals of the season, which is great. Right at the right time to coming into this huge game against you. But Eden Hazard has not had a good season, and there's no chance of him making this team. Of course,
Christian Eriksen is who plays in off the left for us. Actually, it kind of switches. Him and Ali switch around a fair amount, but that's who I'm putting forward. He is improved. I mean, I think he's our best technical player personally. You can, if you watch Spurs, you see they ping it into him at any pace, at any angle, anywhere. He just traps it and gives it. He can play a slide rule ball. I think he's got the most assists in our squad. I think he's made the most chances of any player in the Premier League in 2016, certainly in the top two. Dead ball specialist. Hasn't scored enough free kicks actually, but he keeps hitting the bar and the post and having them saved. And I first saw Christian Eriksen about 8 years ago playing for Denmark when he was 16 against England for their full team, and he ran rings around us. David James was in goal. We lost in Denmark in a friendly 2-0 or something.
That would explain it.
And I thought, God, he's a player. And it seems to me with Eriksen, he has this plan where he's like, I think he turned down Chelsea and some big clubs early on. He's like, his plan was, let's win some titles at Ajax, improve, go to a Premier League club, but not one of the top ones, get in the team, come big. And then I think he's looking for maybe not this summer, in a few years' time, for like a Barca or Real Madrid.
Really?
I really do.
Do you
and I think
he's
he's
got
good
that
enough.
in him?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if next season he scores 15 league goals, because he's improving like that all the time, and suddenly I feel like goals will click. Do you remember, he's no Cristiano Ronaldo, but do you remember Ronaldo was like a great talent, and then suddenly out of nowhere he scored 35 league goals.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wouldn't be surprised if next season's Eriksen's season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's a remarkable player actually, and I like the way that he seems like. I think there's always a hallmark of a very, very good player is a player who always, regardless of what's going on around him, looks like he has time on the ball. Yeah. And I remember where I used to sit at Chelsea, we used to get it used to be down the same side, and you'd have Ashley Cole ready to take a throw in, and I'd have exactly the same view as Cole. And what would happen is you'd have Lampard sort of making these darting runs and creating space for other players, granted, but Lampard making all these runs. And what would happen is eventually the ball would be thrown on, and Lampard would be marked, and there'd be a man on Cole ready for it. The ball would land at Michael Ballack's feet, and there wouldn't be a man in 10 yards of him. Yeah. And how has that happened? Yeah. Every single thrower. Yeah. And I think that it really is a hallmark of a good player, and Eriksen always strikes me as having that quality.
That's a really good example, because you get players, you get fans, even Spurs fans, but other fans say, but Eriksen, does he do enough? And they used to say the same about Ballack. Yeah. They did.
Yeah, they did.
And people who don't know football think, he doesn't score, he hasn't scored 20 goals a year, what's he doing? Yeah. It's bullshit. Yeah, top players. Exactly, great example.
Yeah, so I think that Eriksen is certainly in this team.
All right, and Harry Kane up front, so perfect.
Do you know? I think I've said this to you before. Under normal circumstances, I would fight for Diego Costa in any circumstance, because I think that Diego Costa has all of the attributes to be a fantastic centre forward. I love him. I really do.
I think they're very similar players. You know that. I think they're very similar players. They're not blessed with out-and-out pace, but they do everything 8 out of 10.
Yes.
Everything, 8 out of 10. Yep. Finishing, top draw, holding the ball up, fantastic. The only thing that I think that Costa has that Kane doesn't is the bite, like the...
Yes.
The
Kane's
scrap.
up for the challenge.
Oh God, he loves a physical battle, but he's not wound up. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it can be good.
That's a good thing. You know, the last time I did a combined 11, again I lost with Diego Costa, and I don't like it becoming a habit. But it's just coincidental that the 2 times that we've done it recently, it's been Sergio Aguero and Harry Kane, because I think they're the only 2 that I would accept. Yeah. But I have to.
It'd be interesting if we were doing this 12 months ago when Costa he won the Golden Boot, didn't he?
No, I don't think he did, but he scored
20 goals.
He's right out there. Yeah, he scored a lot of goals.
I have to say I really like Diego Costa. He's another example of what I was saying about John Terry. He's like, he's an arsehole, but he's your arsehole. Yeah. God, I'd love to have a player like that at Spurs, but I wouldn't have him above Kane at this point.
No, I certainly can't give it to anyone other than Harry Kane here. I think he's a remarkable player, and I think what's brilliant about Kane is obviously the youth, but it's the variety of goal.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be something that he's not, he can shoot with both feet, inside the box, outside the box, good in the air.
Yeah.
Like that header that he scored against Arsenal, I think, was it last year?
Season,
when
to win it.
He stayed in the air, it was a Les Ferdinand header. He stayed in the air for about 20 seconds.
And he knew, there aren't many players, I think, at that age who know when to put it back where the keeper's come from and know when to go the other way. So, very impressive.
Harry Kane. Right, that concludes our team. Will you please do us a favour? Comment below, let us know, did we get it right? If not, let us know the changes. And if you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button and make sure that you are subscribed to Spurred On TV. Go on, you Blues.
I enjoyed that.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. Now, as we all know, Tottenham's hopes of winning the Premier League this season are literally hanging by a whisker. I'm here at White Hart Lane, as grim as it is, to let them know that dream is officially going to end on Monday night at Stamford Bridge. So, follow me.